last great Coliseum. Last time you were here, we joined you joined us for the AWSCO Snapdragon Continental Series race, which was 300 laps here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're here for the AWSCO Windows Cup Series, the main event of the weekend for the Lenovo AI 500. 500 laps, or about 250 miles, a little over 250 miles around this high-banked short track, and it's going to be a real spectacular show for everyone today. I'm joined here with Ludovic in the studio for the pre-race show, and we'll take you into some of the pre-race storylines heading into the start of the race.
Good evening.
Hello. Well, Ludovic, I think you were last in the booth for what, the Cup race, the last Cup race, I think.
Yes,
Yeah, you
I
were here
won.
for the Texas Cup race. I don't think you saw the Bristol Continental race. So I'll give you a bit of a heads up on the general themes of the racing we saw in the Continental race. That race was, well, the race, at least the first half of the race, was definitely a bit more of a caution fest. That was the kind of hectic incident filled racing that some drivers have come to expect at a short track like Bristol, especially early on with drivers jostling for real estate. We saw a lot of cars try to take it three wide here at this track, and more often than not, that kind of just doesn't work. And that we saw a lot of cars spin out and hit the wall on the outside, and that's what caused a lot of the early incidents. But as the race wore on, at least as we hit, I say, past the 1/3 point mark, we started getting long runs. We had a decent long run heading into the middle of the race. And then from the middle of the race onwards, it was mostly a long run, except for a few cautions at the end. We had a bit of a flurry of late restarts, but otherwise it was very clean second half of the race, which is I think a very interesting evolution of the race. Do you think that's the kind of racing we'll see here? Here with the cup drivers, considering their experience and the kind of equipment we're seeing here, or are you gonna expect
Well,
more of the same?
Bristol, it doesn't matter the amount of experience you have, the whatever you have at Bristol. It's a coliseum like at Rome, and so they're gonna fight to death. And I fully expect basically the same scenario. They're gonna battle at the beginning of the race, and then once there's enough cars that have died to satisfy the bloodthirst of this racetrack, they'll just stop and race normally.
That's a rather apt way to put it, I think, especially given how many incidents that we've come to expect at this track at the beginning of races. You do tend to see a clearing out of the field, a lot of cars being taken out early, most of them due to incidents, some of them due to some early mechanical problems. But as the field filters out and we start getting maybe a third of the field taken out, the racing does tend to calm down a little bit, and we start getting those long runs. I wonder, and yeah, I wouldn't expect to see too much. I would expect to see too different of a dynamic here. Bristol is always a physical track. You're going to be muscling cars out of the way. I mentioned this in the Continental pre-race show as well, but yeah, I'm fully expecting a similar kind of show to the Continental race, where there's going to be a lot of moving cars out of the way and a lot of sloppy moves that lead to incidents, I think.
Definitely, and there is always the possibility of a massive one at Bristol, just a track blocker. That happens, and if that happens, then you're not gonna get a lot of cautions afterwards. But it means that it's gonna be a pretty long race if that were to happen, which it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm pretty sure there's more cars in Cup than there are in Continental, so that's even more
So,
chances at
yeah, I think so. I think there's at least one more row, I should say.
yeah. So
Yeah, so there's go ahead.
the more cars you had, the more chance that you have at having a pretty big one.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Uh,
yeah, I should say in the Continental race, I think the field was a little lucky that that pretty much every incident that happened was pretty much just confined to the cars that were initially involved. There weren't really that many follow up accidents. I think the only one really was the one that Vinny Schultz got into in the later stages of the race. But otherwise, it was the rest of the field managed to do a good job in not piling up into accidents. We'll see if that stays the same. I wasn't expecting that for the Continental race, so was mildly surprised by that.
Watch out for the cautions too. Eh? The pit cycles. I mean, and twin exit of the. Well, and during the cautions, that can become a massive issue once you get those lapped cars that don't pit on the same lap. When the caution comes out, there's sometimes contact coming out of pit lane, considering it's a one corner difference.
Oh yeah, traffic is always a thing here. Traffic is always a thing to be worried about at this track. We saw a little bit of this as well in the Continental race. I'm not sure if we even had the way the tire wear worked out. I don't think we actually ended up having a green flag pit cycle in the Continental race. But to be fair, that race was also 300 laps, so with the extended race distance, I think that the chances of getting a green flag pit cycle is definitely higher. But at the same time, I think with the number of incidents and the way the tire wear works out, it doesn't really kick in too much until you start getting 100 lap long green flag runs. So I'm not sure if we're going to last that long for the tires to matter that much. But we'll just have to see, I think.
Also, it's hard to gain time here. So if we get a cycle of green flag stops, and we don't get a caution afterwards, that's often what determines the outcome, because somebody gets a good pit stop, they get a few seconds ahead. It's a short track, so a few seconds is worth a lot, and then it's basically it's not over, but it's almost over.
Yeah, I think track position is going to be one of the things that matters the most for in terms of defining success at this track, and we saw that quite a bit in the Continental race as well. But at the same time, we did have quite a bit of a surprise result, considering Luxakumo was able to win the race, and I think she started way down the order, somewhere in the 20s, I should say. I'll double check what position she was in, but yeah, she had a pretty. Luxakumo started 36th, so that was that might be a bit of an aberration,
Starting position doesn't ultimately, starting position isn't the most important around here though. Because there's the wrecks that shuffle the grid at beginning. So I'll say at lap 200, take those positions, and if somebody from downfield ends up winning at that point of down the field at that point, if the race ends up winning, well, that means that's an upset. But starting at the back here, it's so chaotic that you just need a bit of luck, and you can easily make out at least 10 to 20 positions.
Yeah, that's a good point, I think. Especially at the start, if you're able to keep it clean, that is a big if. If you're starting at the back, the main goal for anybody starting at the back is to not be the incident early on in the field, in the race, I should say. But yeah, if you're able to dodge the incidents like Akuma did, she was pretty high up in the field come, I'd say, about the halfway point of the race. She was already in the lead lap, battling in the top 10. So yeah, if you can survive the early incidents and keep it clean as the field systematically take each other out, I think that's going to pay dividends later on in the race, and that's going to be what gives you the ability to contend for the win in the race. That's definitely something to look out for.
I'll say the biggest risk isn't to actually the people starting at the back, because usually sometimes they have a bit of leeway to brake. It's actually, I'll say, people starting at the third quarter of the grid, from positions like, let's say, 25 to 35. That's really where the risk is of just there's a wreck behind you and you don't have time to stop, so you just pile on, which is usually how wrecks go at Bristol.
Yeah, I'd especially pay attention to cars starting on the outside in that part of the field. Because that's exactly where our first incident in the Continental race came from. It was the 44 of Luana Kani and the 65 of Latanya Gray. Both of them started kind of in that slower third quarter of the field, but were on the outside, so they were falling back quite a bit. The inside line is obviously king at this track, so if you're on the outside starting early on, you're going to be pretty antsy and making aggressive moves, probably over aggressive. So I'd be looking out for drivers starting in that kind of area. If you're a Yappy Malkson starting on the outside of row 11, maybe all the way down to like a Lori Schliesenbach in 16th. If you're starting at the very back, you'll probably have enough room to kind of just hang back a bit and jump to the inside. But yeah, if you're starting in the midfield to the back, to the almost to the back on the outside, you're gonna have a lot of problems with that because there's really just no room to move around. And I can certainly
Definitely.
see the first incident coming from that exact same position. Speaking of the starting grid, we'll go over the car starting up front. Carly Byrne takes the pole after a pretty controversial qualifying practice session. I'm pretty sure she was disqualified from practice and somehow managed to stick it on pole. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. So an impressive qualifying run for Carly Byrne, but we'll see if that translates to a pace in the race. She definitely missed out on a lot of qualifying time. And starting alongside her, it's the 98 of Ava Yarsharaj, another good qualifying run for a driver who's been a bit of a surprise package this season. Not entirely experienced with oval racing, but she's held her own in this series so far this season, I think.
Yeah.
As we continue looking down the grid, you have recent winners like Arinia Tosama. Felicia Vancy, who's been looking really good in the last couple of races. She's been on a run of top 10, so I think MNC Racing looked pretty good so far, and both of their cars starting on the inside line. It might be a little bit early on to look at some of these cars, but I do wonder if you have your eye on anyone starting kind of near up front who might be a contender for the race as things go on. Obviously, it's a little bit early, so it's almost like shooting blind here, but it's never. I don't think it's too much harm to take a guess at things. I guess.
Well, I think that the people most likely to be up front at the beginning of the race are people starting, let's say, rows 4 to 6, so on the inside, so Sky and Jetta, Isa Vazita, and Amani Wandayo. Those are the kind of people, because the first few rows are gonna get pushed to the outside, and they're just gonna shuffle back into the field. So it's fairly to that kind of area that I'd look at, those kind of people. Yes, for a good result.
Yeah, I'd say if you're looking for early contenders, those are going to be the cars I think that are under the least pressure of being shuffled out to the outside. Because if you're starting up front, cars are going to be pushing on you all the time, and if you're starting on the outside on those front rows, it's just going to be a matter of finding the inside line as quickly as possible. So it's more unlikely that you're going to be up front. If you're looking at cars starting on the outside of the first 5 rows, which includes 3 of the Honda cars, 3 of the Atlantic Honda cars. You can see there, Rairston, Harina, and Nihale. Nihale is still our championship leader, and she's been able to get pretty good results out of pretty much every race she's run at, so it'll be a pretty good test here to see if she can hang on early on in the race as things stand. Ludovic, do you have any final comments before we hand it over to the booth with TPC at Echo?
As they say in, I think it's applicable here, and as they say in another sport, heads up.
And yeah, and on that note, we'll send you over to the booth for the start of the race. Echo and TPC will be joining you there for the Lenovo AI 500. Take it away from the booth, Echo.
Yeah, hello. Welcome to the Bristol Motor Speedway for the Lenovo AI 500. We're going 500 laps from Bristol tonight. Pretty warm day, 83 degrees. Not a lot of wind. Pretty similar weather conditions to what we saw in the Continental race. I'm joined by TPC in the booth. Hello.
Yo, what's up?
So to start this race off, we're seeing pretty similar conditions to the Continental race yesterday. How do you think these drivers are going to run? Do you think this is going to be a very similar race to that Continental race? Do you think these drivers might end up driving a little bit differently? Or do you think these drivers might end up driving a little differently early on here? Maybe try and not be as aggressive at the start as we saw in the Continental race.
I really feel like it depends on these drivers, how well they run the inside and the outside lanes at the same time. I feel like being on the inside is going to be the key to getting up front, so I feel like our front row starters are going to have to pick a lane really easy. If the outside lane gets a really good jump, they'll be able to get down to the bottom and get a decent lead. If the inside lane gets a good jump, well, then they'll have a pretty good advantage at the start of this race.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the Continental race yesterday that the inside lane was king. It was pretty hard to make momentum. It was pretty hard to make it work on the outside lane. You could do it, but you really couldn't go up more than about a groove in the corners without slipping back quite a bit. This track has a very unique surface, concrete all the way around. I believe it is the first track that the Cup cars have gone to that's concrete all the way around. Do you think that will change anything for how these tires run? I know we saw in the Continental race yesterday that the tires really didn't wear out. We didn't see any green flag cycles mostly because we didn't really get a long enough run for fuel cycles to matter. But do you think we might end up seeing a full green flag run in this one, or do you think that all our stops are going to come under caution?
I feel like we're going to have a decent amount of cautions. Maybe if we get lucky with us, if we have like a bunch of wrecks back to back, where a bunch of drivers either get taken out of contention or get sent to be slower than the rest of the pack, and the field spreads out a little bit more and goes a little bit more single file, then we could probably just see longer green flag runs. But I believe we'll probably have a pretty decent amount of cautions in this race.
All right, well, let's go through our starting grid to start this race here from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Row 1, Carly Byrne heads up the front row alongside Ava Ajarsaraj. In row 2, Arlen Handstrom is alongside Arinia Tosima, who won at Phoenix. Row 3 is the 1, Valicia Vancy, and the 32, Cynthia Rariston. Row 4, the 16, Sky Jetta, and the 34 of Mika Harina. Row 5 is the 2 of Isa Ijavida and the 64, Jocelyn Nihale. Row 6, the 21 of Amani Wandayo and the 26 of Sophie Chantose. Row 7, the 42 of Meika Gennaro and the 92, Michele Yattaga. Row 8 is the 3 of Mimi Barino and the 60 of AWSCO. Row 9 is the 62 of Halis Jukovic and the 46, Yenfi Yanaga. Row 10 is the 71 of Abby Little and the 10 of Adi Stoneman. Row 11, the Red Racing teammates, the 22 of Andrea Davison and the 23 of Yapi Malikson. Row 12, the 82, Paisley Uria and the 18 of Perry Alacantes. Row 13, the 20 of DeGabi Abriella, and filling in this week for the injured Dira Reister, it is Eliza Evergreen stepping in the 17, the points leader in the Continental Series. Row 14, the 15 of Tabrizia Tolerone and the 38 of Youngwei Ku. Row 15 is the 99 of Mauricia Vebelst and 13 of Yania Waterton. Row 16, the 96 Angeli Rigatino and the 8 of Lowry Schliesenbach. Row 17, the 6 Gianni McJasmina and the 55 Bria Delade. Row 18, the 72 Janet Parkins and the 91 Alicia Byrne. Row 19, the 27 Nietzsche Garnston and the 52 of Rachel Cole. And row 20, the 39 Lily Towerson and the 31 of Taylor Happeman, who won last week in Texas. The top two from last week both starting 39th and 40th, so bit of a field inversion, I guess. But for this race, you were here for the Continental race at Irwindale, which is another short track. This is the first time we're seeing these Cup drivers really take on a true short track. I mean, they ran Phoenix earlier in a couple weeks ago, but this is going to be their first true test. Do you think we're going to see early comers and goers, or do you think this race is going to be dominated all by one driver?
Again, it really depends on which line is the most optimal for these drivers throughout the race. If we see a lot of passing, we're definitely going to see a lot of different leaders, but it just depends on how well these cars can pass each other and which of these drivers can get to the front quickly and hold off the drivers behind.
We saw 18 lead changes in the Continental race yesterday. However, the key note there is that a lot of those changes actually happened under pit cycle. There were on-track passes for the lead, but a lot more will happen on the pit road. All right, everyone is rolling, and we're going to be double file for the race start here. Pace car pulls off. Byrne and Ajarsaraj lead them to the green flag. Here we go. We're racing in Bristol.
AWSCO.
And Byrne gets a great jump, but Jarsraj can't get to the bottom.
That's what I was talking about with that inside lane getting a great jump on that start. The 9 gets out to a pretty decent chunk of a lead, but the 19 right behind them looking to gain some ground and try and take that lead away.
Pretty well too wide still throughout the field. I think when I'd start getting worried is if they start going 3 wide. That's where, you know, that's where trouble starts.
Oh yeah, 3 wide absolutely does not work very well at a track like this, especially with how hectic these races can get, especially in the early laps.
Handstrom is all over the back bumper of Carly Byrne here. Not making the move quite yet. You know, it didn't take us very long in the Continental race to see a yellow, but I think we've already gone longer than the Continental race did without a yellow. So, you know, that's a good sign.
Seems like the 1 and the 16 behind them are faster than our 2 leaders in the corners by a little bit, but they're a little bit slower on the straight, so that's kind of evening it out. But let's see if they can actually get up to these leaders and make a pass.
Yeah, that key is going to be getting down to the bottom and kind of seeing if you can, if the drivers that are, if you can get those drivers that are, you know, in front of you, if you can kind of get them, you know, unsettled out of line a little bit. That's where you're going to be able to make your moves.
We have gotten pretty strung out, really, a lot quicker than I thought we would. Because I feel like they've gone, like, pretty one lane for the entire track so far.
Yeah, not a lot of moves being made so far. It is early, but pretty well strung out right now, pretty well single file. You know, you drop back further in the pack, there's a little bit more action, but obviously these cars are still trying to sort out, you know, the fact that they've been double file for a bit. As we have a caution on the racetrack.
Oh.
It is the 64 and the 34.
Oh man, leader's threading the needle to get around that.
Oh, the 6
Oh,
and the
someone else, too.
46 also have some damage.
2 entirely separate incidents to start off this race.
McJasmina, who has struggled with some terrible luck this year, that's not gonna get any better. That car looks pretty done. Looks like everybody's coming to pit road.
I'd be shocked to see any tires taken this early in the race.
It might happen, but you might see some strategy here as well.
Yeah, they are taking tires. Interesting.
It looks like 4 tires on most of these cars. Some teams are taking right sides. I just saw the 72 took rights. A few cars taking right sides here.
I'd say this pit road is pretty wide. I'd say they're not going to have too much trouble getting around each other, getting out of their pit stalls.
21 wins the race out. 42, 9, 32. 1, 2. Yeah. Oh, the 8 car.
Oh, the 8.
That car is smoking.
Might have just been a random problem for that car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Very unlucky for that team.
That's tough. Two of these cars are going to get lapped on their pit exit just because of how small this track is. If you take time. So what happens here between these cars? They're 3 wide. Just kind of get squeezed together.
The 92 got out of that one pretty lucky. They got involved at first, but oh, never mind.
Oh, that's
man.
what happened to the 6. Ran right into her teammate. Couple pairs of teammates, because those are 2 Southwest Racing cars, and then 2.
you mentioned that 6 being unlucky. I can definitely say, after being involved in that, having nowhere to go, you could say that bad luck streak's going to continue. Oh, this is dicey right here, watching these other cars trying to get around the leaders.
These cars that are all in the top 10 obviously take the wave around. Let's get the lap cars in between the top 10. And here we go. We're back to green flag racing here. Wandayo leads them. .42 looking underneath, though.
Right on the back bumper for our leader as well.
Two car, Vijavita trying to get around the one of Vancy. Yeah, the one's been shuffled to the high side now.
Yeah, way up the track out of the preferred racing line. Loses a couple spots. The 71 and the 16. Now the 98 making around the inside. And the 3 way up down there.
18 car came down pit road. That appears to be a penalty stop. So far, aside from that first incident, though, has not looked too... It hasn't looked like the drivers have been ultra aggressive. Yeah, the one is really being shuffled. Like, the one is pretty well gone. I mean, you get stuck up top like that, it's just... You're just gone.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those tracks like Darlington where if you get stuck up on the top, you'll be sinking down and down and down, losing more and more points. But it's still early in the race, so it's always good time to come back and get those positions back when you find a spot on the inside lane.
Wandayo's kind of getting held up by a lap car here. That's the 23 of Mallets. 42 is going to close in. You're not really going to see a lot of battling for the race lead, I don't think. You know, there will be battling. You know, if, you know, the fast cars will get up there. And they'll make moves, but they're a lot more patient here. And you may see at some other tracks. So 98 trying to get underneath the 16. That's a Jarsaraj going for a spot on Njeta. He takes it away. See Bria Delade fighting with Rachel Cole.
And that 52, wow, got very close to the 18 there. They're going to be stuck up on this top lane for quite a while. The 72 taking the top lane. That's not a very wise choice. Some could say that was an unwise choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's the best move at the moment, is taking the top side. Taylor Happerman up to 14th. I think this is partly strategy based, but this car started dead last. And yeah,
that
there's
one,
where Panstrom and Vancy are. The one is
still struggling.
Back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That one is still way up the track. Can't seem to get in the line has a chance here, and now
Finally, we'll get down.
maybe they're struggling with grip. I think that's why they had a bit of a struggle to get back down in that bottom lane. The 3 is on pit road.
Is that the 3?
It was, I believe. Maybe it was a similar,
I think it was
similarly
the
colored car.
62.
Yeah,
the
they
3's
both
still on
look
track.
pretty similar in terms of palette.
Lou, what do you got for us?
All right, so the 8 retired because of a header issue. The header just completely failed coming out of their pit box, and the reason that the 18 came down to pit lane is because they had to fix damage they weren't able to fix in time before, but it's not because of a penalty. It is because they did fix damage on that car while they were down there. And there's another car that's coming down. I didn't see which one it was, but yeah, there was another car that just came down pit lane. Well, I think it's exiting pit lane now.
Well, Money One Dio's still got the lead right now.
On my comment on passing earlier before the race started, we are seeing a decent amount of passing, but really that's only happening whenever cars are losing spots in the outside lane. Not a lot of cars are really getting runs, diving to the inside, and making runs on the rest of the field.
You know, we're kind of seeing everyone be very patient at the moment. There's the 23, which is a lap car trying to get their lap back from the 21 here. Those two are teammates, so maybe that's a bit of a teamwork deal here.
What I never understood about Bristol is that one lacking section of non-safer barrier on the front stretch.
17.
There's just like a section of wall that doesn't have safer barrier right there. Think of the safety. This is absolutely appalling. I will be suing immediately. Seems like that lap traffic is going to be holding up our leaders quite a bit. The 42 goes way up the track to the outside lane, where that sun don't shine, I suppose, and has lost a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, we saw that in the lap. You know, we saw yesterday in the Continental race that this was where they made their moves, was when they got caught up in lap traffic. That was the easiest place to make a move, is, you know, have the driver in front of you mess up, go for the spot, and try to take it away in lap traffic. As we see the 21 slides up high, and that's going to let the 42 of Gennaro close in.
Good run for the 42 right there, looking to capitalize on the 21's mistakes right here. Take that leader away in that Kroger Camry. Thought that was a Subaru for a second. No, that was a Camry.
46 coming down pit road. That appears to be for damage repair.
Oh, wow. This lap traffic being nose to nose. Those are, I believe, teammates, correct? 21, 23?
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to have a teammate lap car in the way, especially when the lead is on the line right here.
Gennaro to the inside on one Dio. And this 42 car is going to take the lead away. Gennaro out front now. As Wandayo is going to get stuck up top, that 21 is going to slip way back. Carly Byrne will get by for second. We'll see Rareston get by for third. We got a battle back here. That's Ejavida getting thrust out of line by Ajar Siraj. That's going to be for the fifth position.
Oh, wow.
Tight between Anjeta and Ejavida.
The 16 really drove it into the corner there. Got into the side of the 2. The 2 now loses that position, but I don't think they're going to be very happy with that one.
Lou, what happened to the 17 of Evergreen?
Hi, yes, the 17 had to come down to pit lane because a tire blew from that car. Yeah, apparently just ran over some piece of debris left by that accident. And yeah, it was immediate, just a complete loss of grip from that car with a tire down. And that's gonna put them a couple of laps back. They're saying they don't think they're out of it just because this race, to them at least, has a very green flag feel to it. and if they're able to keep it clean until the end of this race, I think that in terms of the delayed strategy, it isn't that bad to come down right now. But they're just not hoping. They're just hoping to not have a caution right now.
Pretty calm single file out there so far for a good bit here. Wendio slipped back behind Rariston now, so the 21 did slot back in line into 4th spot. Seen the 98 kind of make looks down on the 21 here, but... Oh, here she goes. Gonna take 4th away as Jarsaraj is, and Wendio's gonna slip out of the line. Yeah, that 21's...
And just like that, all those positions are gone.
Yep. And Jetta gets up into 5th.
And the 2's going to get a good run here, close that gap.
Yeah.
But the 21's going to slot back on the line here. Not going to lose any more positions for now.
The 32, the 21, and the 42 all took 2 tires on the last cycle. They're catching up to the 15 again. The 15 was the lap car that kind of checked them all up last time. Gennaro's really pulled away, though. The 42's out front by now about a second. And, you know, we've gone green for quite a while in this one. Just 1 caution so far. You know, at this point in the Continental race, there was a lot of cautions. There was around... There were 6 cautions in the first 100 laps of that race. You know, we're 57 laps in, and we've only seen 1 yellow so far. So this has had a pretty long green... a pretty good green flag feel to it. See Barino gets shuffled out of line. That's going to let AWSCO into the top 10. Yeah, tires...
So 31, that started way in the back.
31 started way in the back. She's kind of moving her way through.
15th, holy.
This is actually going to be 14th at this point. She just got by the 27 at Guardston. That was 4th position.
I suppose some pit strategy helped them get further up the field after that first caution.
Definitely did. But she still made some moves.
Yeah, like, they're still one of the fastest cars on the track right now. Actually, who is our fastest car on the track right now?
What, the NordVPN fastest lap right now, 17 of Eliza Evergreen has that one. There's the 13 of Waterton fighting with the 19 of Handstrom. You know, as the tires kind of wear out, we're kind of seeing, you know, as the tires wear out a little bit, we're kind of seeing them start to make moves a little more. I think as the tires wear out, I think that lets them kind of dive down a little more often. We just saw the 16 kind of get pushed out of the way. That let the 21 back into 5th. But, I mean, you really need the bottom lane. There's just, like, not really anything else that this track has. You need to use that bottom lane, and if you can't get down there, it's tough to make moves. And if you can get down there, it's still tough to make moves, because everyone else in front of you also is using the bottom lane.
It almost feels like today's Texas race.
Yeah. And it's Bristol. This is kind of par for the course here.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, well, way up the track. Goes a 16 in the wall.
Tapped the wall a little bit.
And now the 55 is going to make a good run, try and get that position.
Gabriel Delot up here.
That 55 is also made a decent amount of passes since the start of this race.
Yeah, she's climbed up here. Same for the 52 and the 60, I would say. 72 Janet Parkins kind of took some strategy there at the start, but you know, she's been able to get up here, and now the 42 will finally get past the lap car of the 15 of Tolaroan. $19 of Handstrom coming in. That appears to be a bit of damage repair on that car. The car obviously had not been running as fast as they had wanted it to run. Tires do wear out here, but not really a lot. You know,
What would you say the tire, or at least the pit window is for these tires?
It's about the same as the fuel window, probably. I mean, the tires just don't wear out that much. The fuel window's about 150 laps, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
You know, if we see a long green run, then maybe I'd be, you know, start looking at, you know, which cars are coming down for tires. But right now,
Almost
I
up
mean,
to a full second lead for that 42.
it is over a full second. It's 1.2 seconds now. And Perry Alacantes, who's kind of slipped back, you know, she's kind of mired a couple laps down. The 18 car is clearly pretty fast. Well, the 42 is in a Toyota, and Toyota is the only winless manufacturer so far this season in the Windows Cup Series. Nika Gennaro trying to change that. She's pretty well out there. She's got a pretty dominant lead right now. 1.26 seconds. She was scored ahead of Carly Byrne last time by at the start-finish line.
Would you say it's surprising that Toyota has not won a race this year so far?
Yeah, I would. I'm more surprised by how their teams just haven't really looked like they've been at the top of the board. Like, Southwest Racing, you know, they had a lot of big expectations coming into this season, and they haven't really delivered on any of those, really. Like, you know, McJasmine and Jetta were expected to be pretty good in the 6 and the 16. You know, they just came in, they had a lot of experience, and they haven't really shown very much. And Jetta's running pretty solidly, but she also had to miss a race. She also missed a race due to injury. You know, and Jetta said, you know, I was talking to Jetta, and she said that this would be the biggest test for her coming back from her injury because she suffered a herniated disc in at Fontana. Sat out the week after at Willow Springs, stepped out in the middle of the race at Denver, and, you know, only ran her first full race at Phoenix.
I hate when my disc gets herniated. Fuck optical media.
Hey, we're on TV.
True. I say, that optical media is quite silly.
We apologize for the...
We apologize for the language.
This is getting
Yeah,
all
more
shuffly.
more of that lap traffic right now going into play. That 42's lead probably going to be cut down pretty quickly. Covered on all sides by those lap cars,
I
but
will
they're
say the
cutting
42,
through these lap cars pretty
the
well.
42 has been able to negotiate the lap traffic a lot cleaner than we saw the 21 earlier. As here comes the 18 underneath the 32, and that's actually going to let her teammate get through. As Jarsaraj is going to get up to third now. And the top two and the two cars that started this race 1-2 are now 2-3 behind the 42 of Gennaro.
Yeah, pretty good recovery for both of them, especially our pole sitter to get back up to second after flipping through the field and now get back into a position to potentially take the lead away, but they've also got to navigate through these lap cars.
Gennaro started 13th in this one, so, you know, she got up there on strategy. She took 2 tires on that last caution, but, you know, I will say that Gennaro's looked a lot stronger in lap traffic than her contemporary did, which was the 21 of 1 Dio. You see the 21 here still struggling to get past the 15 of Tolaron. Yeah, the 18 may honestly be trying to punch a path through for her teammate, just because, you know, this 18 car definitely looks very fast. There's a lot of laps left to go. We're not even at lap 100.
Still a lot of racing,
Yeah,
and still a lot of potential passing and people falling through the top lane.
I am quite surprised by how, you know, long green we've seen this go. We had that early yellow, but that's been it.
I'll be honest with how, like, mostly one wide as we see the 60 going up to the top and losing some spots there. with how mostly like clean on one lane they've been so far, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a really long green flag run, then get a really stupid caution.
Yeah. Gets broken up by something.
Oh,
That
that just
might be
about
it.
happened right
That
there.
might be it. I was gonna say that might be it right
Hitting
there.
getting kind of goofy. You know, I'm seeing a lot of contact coming out of turn number 2. That seems to be a place where these cars seem to get a loss of grip and seem to get right next to each other out of that turn.
Yeah, on corner exit, they've been getting really squirrely. So we can slide back through the field here. Oh, there's a 42. There's Carly Byrne putting her, lapping her sister, Alicia. 92's back down pit road. Lou, what's going on?
Yeah, as we're approaching a possible first cycle under the green flag condition, I've been talking to a few teams, and there's really two strategies apparently that the teams are gonna try to do. The first one where they come down early, they try the undercut. Pretty much everyone agrees that in terms of pure speed, the undercut would be better. But the other strategy is staying out and betting that there's going to be a caution at some point during the pit cycle. They say that with this exit and entry into pit lane, it's quite likely that we get a caution at that moment. So that's really the two strategies, and it's very interesting. Drivers that are undercutting, that's the drivers that you see really going through the field at the moment, or as much as they can go through the field with how hard it is to pass, or how hard it was to pass at the beginning of this run. Well, the drivers that let themselves shuffle to the outside lane, they're really the drivers that are trying the overcut. So it's interesting how well you can see the strategies into the driving style of the drivers currently.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing the 31 here, Taylor Haberman. She's getting a couple spots here. Obviously helped that, these cars back here got shuffled to the outside lane, but... And here we go, move for second. There goes a Jar Siraj around Carly Burns, so the 98 up to the second spot now. But, yeah, I mean, we're seeing that the cars that kind of, we're seeing that there's not really a big difference in terms of what tires you take. Like, we've seen the cars that took 2 tires still about as fast as the cars that took 4 on this last cycle. Obviously, there weren't that many laps on the tires, but the 42, pretty well out there. The 18 has actually caught up to the 42, and I believe the 18 is trying to unlap herself.
Makes me wonder how many cars are going to go a lap down before our next caution.
Well, let's see. We have, 23 cars in the lead lap right now. And...
Yeah, if we're at 102 in and only 23 on the lead lap, that's the interesting metric so far.
Lou, what's up?
Hey, these cars are really getting beaten up. We just had 2 mechanical failures. The 62 came in, brakes on fire. They had to extinguish the brakes. Now she's back on track. It's fine. Apparently, they didn't cause any damage. They checked. No real damage caused. And the 92 just came in for a tire failure. Apparently, yeah, that's clearly the flat tire. I don't quite know the details about that one, but yes, there's probably been a some sort of tire failure on the 92 as well. So yes, really the car is just getting torn apart here, and it's not even we're barely past lap 100 here.
Gennaro slips to let the 18 through here, looks like. And we've got 100 laps in, and only 1 caution in these first 100 laps. Contrast that to the Continental race yesterday, where there was 6 by this point in the race before we actually finally started getting a long green flag run. We've already got.
Yeah, it's definitely going by a lot. It's going by a lot faster than I anticipated it would, mainly because of the lack of cautions. Like, we're already a fifth of the way through the race as the 92 gets way up the track into the 15 a little bit.
Yeah, this race has only been going for about half an hour, 30 minutes so far, and that's just how quickly you run laps here. And the 98's pretty He is closing in on the 42 right now. Helps that the 98's had a teammate kind of bulldozing away through the field for the 98, but now the 98's going to have to work on her own here.
Yeah, that lead has severely decreased over these
And
last
now
few
it's
laps.
gonna be
Oh, what
gone.
a push. They're going to make contact. They're going to be 3 wide.
3 wide with the lap car right on the inside, and new leader
And
out front.
somehow that 92 is going to be the benefactor of all that. Not only did they get their lap back, but that's going to make a change for the lead.
Well, they got one of their laps back. They're now 8 laps down. They were 9 down before that. But yeah, new leader out front. It's Ava Ajarsaraj in the 98 car. She would be hunting her second win of the season if she were to hang on here. Carly Burns slipped back to 5th spot now. Gotten passed by the 21 and the 32. Yeah, tires don't seem to be that big of a deal right now. .42 slips up. It's going to let a lap car through. This may let the 32 close in on her for the second spot.
Yeah, just noticed that the battle, or at least the third place car, has caught up significantly since the battle for the lead happened. They were 2 seconds back a few laps ago. Now they're down to 1. And if things seem to get, or if this trend continues, we could see the rest of the top 5 potentially catching up to the rest of the lead pack.
Yeah, I mean, Rarison is closed in right on Gennaro now, so maybe this is where the 2 tires die out, is, you know, later on in the run. Kind of right here where we're seeing the 42 kind of drop off a little bit, the 98 up into the lead. Now 9 cars have been shuffled now from 5th spot, so Delot up into 5th, Nietzsche Garnston has gotten 6th, and Carly Burns dropped back to 7th spot. Retired from the race, just 3 cars, McJasmine and Nihale, who came in as the points leader, and Schliesenbach. So it is very possible. Oh, the 27 is slow.
Ooh.
We'll see if we can get a report on what happened there. But she was in the top 5, and that car
They
is
might
not
stop
gonna...
on the banging. That might be a yellow.
That's a caution. Caution
the
flag
yellow.
is out. And well, there goes all the chance that we might have had of seeing a pit cycle under green, as we've had our second caution of the day. Free pass car will be the 38 of Koo.
I was just about to say, definitely these leaders are about to come down the pit road and get their normal cycle in right now, or at least their next set of tires and fuel.
Yeah, there should be 4 tires.
If you're a crew chief and you don't choose 4 tires right now, you are insane and you need to be fired and removed from the facility immediately.
I could see 2 tires working. I mean, we saw those cars out front, you know, when they took 2 tires, they had a pretty solid... They weren't losing that much ground.
With all the lap cars we have now, they'll be starting on the outside lane or inside lane. I forget. I'm stupid.
They'll be waved around if they're in between the top 10 because it's single file only. Actually, they'll probably be starting behind everyone because they're gonna. Looks like all of them are coming to pit road.
Gotcha.
'98 will win the race out. It'll be the 21, then the 42, then the 55, then the 32, then the 9, the 52, the 60, the 10, the 27 will get out. 27 won't be lead lap, but...
Overall, pretty similar results after that run of pit road.
Yeah, 55 car has jumped a couple spots. She was 5th, now she's up to 4th. Barriston's dropped back a spot. Carly Byrne gained a spot on pit road. She was 7th, she moved up to 6th. Lou, do you know what happened to the 27th?
Well, it's not going to be retirement. It's just a tire down. Again, I think the third time. It's I think the third time today that we've had a tire down. So it's interesting how the tires don't seem to be wearing out that much, but there seems to be a lot of tire failures though, and I don't quite know why. Nobody quite knows why. I asked the teams; they didn't know. Yes. I think what's interesting though about this caution is that I mean 27 clearly could have come down to pit lane. I don't know why she didn't. But she just didn't get down to pit lane, which would have avoided a caution as we go back to green.
Yeah, green flag back out. I think the reason that she doesn't come down pit road is you're supposed to enter pit road from turn 2, and under yellow and green flag conditions, you have to go through both pit roads. You have to go through both pit roads under all conditions. So I think
jump on that restart.
I think that's why she doesn't pull in, is she doesn't want to get penalized, and I think her pit stall might not even be on that side of pit road anyways. One car coming in, caution's out.
Oh.
26 is stopped on the apron.
Another stopped car.
We'll see if we can follow up on what happened there.
Horrible day for former Denny Hamlin sponsor.
A few of these cars are coming back to pit road.
They're coming back? Surely it's just for tires. Surely. Or just for fuel.
Yes, it could be. Lou, what's up on the Lou, what's up?
26 had a tire failure. Again, another one. Another one. So it's I think it's 3 tire failures in about 30 laps. Think about that. But yes, it's another tire failure for the 26.
Whoa, 13. Oh, never mind. $16 of Injetta's gonna get the lead off pit road here. Looks like everybody just kind of short stopped. I think some cars took 4 tires, and I'm not sure why. Funny enough, with the way the pit road is shaped, driving at pit road speed is actually, driving at pit road speed on the pit road is actually still faster than driving on the track at caution speed, which I find very interesting.
Wow.
So
Just barely right beside almost sideswiped the entire lead lap field right there, going back on the lead lap.
We're going back to green here. And Jetta leads them. Here we go, back to the green flag. We're back racing here in Bristol.
Well, the 55 already tried to make a move on the inside there on that restart. Couldn't get it done. Now it's just think back in the line.
Whoa, we got a car on their side. Pace
Oh, they're
Lanieria,
stacking up. Oh man.
Davison, Yanaga, Alicantes. Big crash
That-
exiting turn 2, and now just
That
brought
was
out another
incredible.
caution.
Yeah, I'd imagine that 82 is done after that. That was a wild ride.
Yeah, here comes the whole field back to pit road again.
How many sets of tires do these teams have? Clearly, they're
Unlimited.
not hiding extras underneath the track.
'21 will take the race out. See, these cars are all...
I'm taking this position.
I believe they all had to stop because these cars in front here, they were being shown the stop sign at the end of pit road, so
Yeah.
they couldn't go. And that means the 9 will actually be the leader. Actually, no, the 2 will be the leader. 96. 2 and the 96 chose to stay out here.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays into the strategy of this race.
Lou, what's going on down on pit road?
Hi. So we're seeing a kind of split in strategy. About half the grid took 2 tires, and half the grid took no tires. The people who took no tires were mostly the people who took 4 tires the pit stop before. So it's interesting. We're gonna see a slight. Oh my god, this wreck was
Ooh.
crazy. But yes, we're gonna see quite a difference in strategy if we go green, which is not a certainty, but I mean if things go like the last run, we very well could.
Wow, that's a hell of a camera angle right there.
Yeah, that's a great job by our camera team to get you those pictures. So the 2 of the 96 chose to stay out on this stop, on this cycle. Here we go, green flag back out. Once again, racing from Bristol. For the back in the field, there's quite a few cars that were, that I think jumped the restart. The 9 of Carly Byrne was the first car off pit road, but these 2 cars in front of her, Javida and Rigatino, both chose to stay out under the caution flag. And so they have cycled to the lead. Nika Janero's kind of slipped back here. She's now back in the 6th spot. Got AWSCO right behind, and maybe we can string some green flag laps together now.
Hopefully.
Got a fight here. 17 trying to get by these cars.
Oh, someone's re-entering pit road.
Yeah.
Or re-entering the track after coming on pit road. That
Yeah, I
would look
think so.
scary for a second.
98 managed to make a pass on the 21 because of that. See the 93 getting by as well.
I think the 3 made a little bit of contact with the 60, trying to get a pass. Now has gotten past them after that, but that definitely didn't look very clean.
Have a shout out to AWSCO Racing, who have 3 of their 4 cars on the lead lap. 39, who started well in the back of the field, is still on the lead lap right now. This is an Obama giving Obama medal situation, but you know. So Javida continues to lead. Ricatino second, and those 2 cars that chose to stay out still in the top 2 positions. 4th spot is Ajar Siraj, 5th is Gennaro. 6th is Tosima.
I see now we're already back to our lead margins that we had earlier, with the leader being out front, the 2nd place car and being not too far behind. 3rd place car also not too far behind. Then the gap between 3rd and 4th is just crazy, and then everyone else is behind the 4th place car.
Yeah, it's not really helping the gap between 3rd and 4th that there's, you know, a lot of lap cars that had to cycle out from the pit road cycled right in between, basically. Gennaro looking to the inside on Evergreen.
A lot more cars getting sent to the outside now on this restart compared to the last one, I believe.
Yeah, I think these drivers have kind of started to pick up the aggression just a bit more. Just a tad bit more.
I see the 3 losing a couple spots there. Maybe 3 spots? No, they're not going to slot it in time to get to the inside lane.
Yeah, the 2 is just kind of holding a very stable lead right now. Not a particularly huge one, but just a stable one at the moment. I think the 2 is honestly a little faster than the 96 right now, but might get held up by the 34. Gennaro's been shuffled out of line. Tosima's taken the 5th spot away from the 42. You know, for all the talk about, you know, winning races, I think this might be the one race where we might see our first repeat winner of the season. We've had 9 different winners to start the season off, but I think this race could end up changing things around where, you know, you start to see the drivers that have been good in previous races be good again here. Three of the top 5 all have a win this season. That would be the 96 of Rigatino, the 98 of Ajar Siraj, and the 93 of Tosima. The 96 looks to the inside.
Well, these lap cars ahead, I think I can see a battle for the lead brewing up here. Look at those 3
around goes the
Oh,
71.
no. Big hit to the inside. Oh, this is going to be bad.
Oh, the 9 plows in, and
oh,
so does the
leader's
98.
piling in. That's a concussion maker right there. Or what they call the brain scrambler. That's not what we want to see being one of those leaders.
Yeah, no. That was a real rough one, especially considering that was one of the drivers, the 9 car, who was started on the pole for this race, and she was up there. She looked very fast, but Not gonna have much to say. I'm not gonna have much to make of that one now.
I've seen that exact type of wreck happen in person. 2014 Bristol night race. My Kevin Harvick opinions changed drastically that day. Oh, they're pushing. Pushing on pit road. Tandem drafting.
96 is going to jump the 2 on pit exit. Then it'll be the 93. The 98 will get out 4th. Or the 98 will get out 5th, excuse me.
Yeah, the 10 had a lot more momentum coming out.
21. 42, 60, 39. 23. How about Yappy Malikson, who was locked down for a good chunk of this race?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. 23 was pretty much a lap car the whole run so far, and now they're up here.
Well, Rugutino, Ijavida, Tosima, Ajarsaraj, and Stoneman make up the top 5. Yeah, the top 10 all lined up right together, so... They're getting really messy. I'm not really sure why. You'll have to plus the 31 at the top of the green just so that they get their lap backs, and that was what they were supposed to get. Here we go. Green flag back out.
Oh, wow, they really got stacked up, 4th on back. Look at that long train of cars.
Yeah, I wonder if some of that damage is hurting the 98 right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Here comes the 21, looking for the 5th spot.
That wreck definitely probably hurt that 98's chances of being... Well, no, they're actually gaining a little bit on that 93, but who knows if they'll be competitive for the lead.
The 96 is really driven away. Gennaro's really dropped back. This car is falling out of the top 10 right now. And the caution is out. Big crash.
Whoa,
The 16 and the 19.
Crash. Oh. And the 13 piles on in right there. There's too much debris on the track.
Well, this is where the cautions start to come. I think this is where we're starting to see that old adage of cautions breed cautions. All these cars coming back down the pits. Except for the 3. The 3 chooses to stay out. Mimu Barino.
Interesting. Probably want to get some laps led.
Yeah.
Gotta get those bonus points.
Yeah, worth it for bonus points. Oh, the 2 really checked up in front of the 93 there. Looks like the 26 of Chantose will be the free pass car.
Ooh, there's debris on pit road too. Someone must have had a collision.
I think so. 21 jumps out in front, I think. No, the 96
I think the
jumped
20
out in front. Oh, the
it looked like
93
the
beat
21
Paul.
It looked like the 21 had a little bit of damage on the door. That might
Yeah.
have been just a game, but that also
Might have
might
been
have just
that
been
might have been there beforehand.
maybe.
So, Barrino, Tosima, Rugatino, Wandayo, and AWSCO, the top 5 at the moment. We're going to go back and look at that incident that brought out the yellow. Jetta's racing back here. They
Ooh.
went 3 wide.
Is that 3 wide? You talked about getting forced up, and yo, now the 19. Wow, the 27 with wreck avoidance right there. Holy cow!
Yeah, great job by the 27 lot to.
Let's go on board with that one.
I also want to watch the 71's incident from the lap beforehand because I never actually showed a replay of this one. Yeah, the 22 just slides up into her. She's trying to get back going, and the 9 just
Ooh.
can't slow down enough to avoid her. Alright, let's get back to green. Marino, Tosima, Rugatino, Wandayo, and AWSCO, the top 5. Maybe Barrino with a little bit of a strategy play here. You know, we're starting to see a lot more cars have fallen out of the race.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna start seeing a lot more chaos now.
The 19 retired, the 42 also retired with a suspension issue. So, you know, we'd seen that car lead a lot of laps earlier on, but not gonna be how it finishes for Gennaro. She's gonna finish well back in the field. $16 cars sitting in 18th still. Only lost a lap from that incident, so doesn't look too badly hurt. So Barrino, alongside, she's got Tosima and Rugatino right on her now.
Yeah, pretty good push. Not enough of a push to get out front. Still, the 3 is doing a really good job of defending that line.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is you can just defend here. This is a track that's great for defending.
Still getting pushed around a little bit by that 96. Oh, that 96 shares the color of my goat, Jovial Merriment. I know they have the power to win. Even though they just went wide, so I might have just cursed them.
Angeli Rugatino has already got a win this season in Calder Park.
Nice.
One Dio trailing behind. Then it's Wesco. Then it's Malikson, who's moved up to the 6th position. I mean, look at this car. Remember, she was quite a ways back down the field earlier on, and she's now moved back up. Into the top 10, pretty close to the top 5 right now. .32 of Rarison has come down the pit road.
You're having a pretty decent run all day. Hate to see that happen.
Yeah, she was having a good run until the last little bit, and she dropped way back. Joseph is all over the 3 right now, though. I think this 93 is definitely faster.
Yeah, but pretty hard to get around that leader.
Yeah, very hard to make that move stick. Tenth place right now, Bria Delot of the 55. So both of the Dark Horse racing cars up in the top 10 right now with the 96 and the 55 here. I mean, that's a team that's been very impressive, kind of surprisingly impressive. Although I guess not that surprising if you've seen them in other series, but still, I think that's been a team that's, you know, had a very good note on them all year. Yeah, I think the 3's kind of been holding this group up, like, a lot. Because now the top 4 are all kind of right here. They've kind of bunched together everyone from the top 4, and now they're stuck behind the 71. And they're all going to have to get to the bottom now. Now the 60's closed in. Now the 23's going to be closed in here.
They all don't know what lane they want to get to. They see the 71, they're like, oh, I gotta get down at the bottom again if I want to get to the lead.
Yeah, it's just funny because the 71's laps down.
Yeah.
There comes Tosima. She was looking underneath the 3 to make it stick. Here we go. Oh, contact with the 60 and the 21
Wow.
edging 2. '21 takes the spot away. 60 will get the spot. The 96 is now stuck up top and dropping back. Yeah, this car is pretty gone. I mean, you get shoveled to the top lane, you're just gone. You're done for, pretty much. Sabrina's still out front.
Yeah, it seems that strategy seems to have worked out for that 3. It's since they're holding on to that lead, they know that passing is pretty difficult on a track like this, and they're getting some laps led, getting some of those bonus points.
Shout out the 91, who was a lap down at one point. And she's actually now moved into the top 10 now. That's Alicia Byrne having that car, although she's fighting with Bria Delod for that spot again. Yeah, she'll slide up and cede the position. Oh, the 3 really slowed up. Caution's out. Whoa, the 3
Oh,
runs into the
whoa.
15.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Big crash right here. Oh, the 38. Oh, they're still wrecking. 39.
That was a big pile up.
27. That's at least 11 or 12 cars involved in that one.
Wow.
And that's going to take some of those contenders out of the race, that's for sure, especially that 3 who just had nowhere to go.
93 and the 21 got through, and I think those might be the only ones.
Oh, yeah. That's not looking good for some of those leaders.
Oh, the 31. We'll see if we can get an update on what happened there. But, that was a very strange incident. '21 wins the race out, then it's the 55. I don't know who got the free pass. I need to check.
It was me.
Yep.
Oh, wow. A little contact between the 93 and the car that was coming to pit road there.
It appears to be the 99 of Vebels who got the free pass on this caution. So we have, what, 6 cars in the lead lap now, I think?
Wow, the 99's flying.
'93, 21, 55, 52, 26.
Oh, 39 slow going to pit road.
All right. Well, let's get a view on what happened there to cause the yellow flag.
Oh.
Oh, that car just. And
That car
three
said, I
piles
can't do
in.
this shit no more. Oh man, 23 if it gets crazy air.
Yeah, a lot of cars just pile into this one. There's a 39
This
gets
is like the
involved.
big wreck from Cars 2, the movie. That killed Jeff Gordon in the movie. That's right, he died.
Here we go. Green flag is back out.
Wow, 55 way on the bottom of the track.
35
Comes a
coming
pit
to pit
road.
road.
Thought someone was about to get Kevin LePage there for a second, but no.
Russia, what happened to the 15?
Yeah, Echo, we can confirm that that was a tire failure on the 15 of the Berezia Toblerone that slowed that car down. Unfortunately, it happened right in front of the lead pack, and that's what caused the massive stack up there. That led to quite a few cars taking damage and getting knocked out of the race. Which, yeah, that's a pretty unfortunate thing with these tires. That sometimes tire wear isn't usually an issue, but sometimes you do have to pay attention to the setups. I think some teams are going a little bit aggressive with their setups here, and that's causing tires to go down. And that might just be a little bit of overconfidence in the tire compound, but we'll have to see as we haven't really had that much of a long green flag run in a race environment yet. So that's something the teams are still working with.
Mondio's just taking the lead away from Toastman. I think the 39 is pit looping.
That 52 is fast right now. Holy cow.
Tosima set the NordVPN fastest lap on this last run.
Also, we're only about 30 laps from halfway, and there are 6 cars on the lead lap. Oh boy.
I will say a good chunk of the reason for that is that a lot of the cars that are off the lead lap, a lot of the cars that were on the lead lap were caught up in that incident. So it'll be a good chance at this point. If there's another yellow, we'll probably see a fair few cars get back on the lead lap if there's another couple yellows. There are about 13 cars left on the lead lap at the end of the Continental race yesterday, and that race went 300 laps, so... This one, they got 200 extra, and... The 200 extra have not been without incidents. Battle for fourth is between Chantose and Vebels, who are a couple cars that have had issues. Vebels has been off the lead lap most of this race, but...
Yeah, I'm surprised that 26 is even on the lead lap, period.
She fell off the lead lap, but she got the free pass a couple of yellows ago, and she's held on to it since. Wandayo, Cole, Tosima, Chantose. Oh, this 26 hung on to it. 72 spins up across the track.
Oh.
That is a caution.
Keeps it going, though.
13 of Waterton is going to be the first car a lap down, so from 7th place she'll get the free pass to go to 1 lap down here. I suspect the 93 has the broken pit stall issue. Because last time she pulled into her stall, she pulled right back out, but it said she took a full stop.
Yeah, that would really suck if that was the case.
Yep, it does seem like that is the case. '18 of Perry Alacantes is on the lead lap now as well. And it looks like nobody that's a lap down is going to cycle in between these top 6, so that means that these top 6 will remain. That means it's going to remain these top 6 on the lead lap. And then the 13 of Waterton is going to be on a lap all by herself here. '93, 21, 52, 18, 26, 99. The top 6, those are the lead lap cars on this restart. Waterton in 7th, just got the lucky dog. Abby Little, Sydney Rarest, and Taylor Happerman make up the rest of the top 10. They're 2 laps down. Green flag back out from Bristol.
Good restart for that 93 right there.
Yeah.
I think that 21 might have a little bit of an aero advantage. You can see a little hole in the door right there. Might be a little bit of cheating up going on in that car.
52. Gonna take this spot away from the 21 though.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that 52 is really fast. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up winning this race. Unless something catastrophic happens, which knowing this how this race has gone so far for some of our leaders, I don't see that being out of the question at all.
Caution is back
Oh,
out.
caution.
34
Oh.
and 72. The 72 involved again.
And once again, we're
Why
under
did
yellow.
13 come down the pit road. Okay. Looks like the 32 of Rariston will be the free pass car. Few cars staying out. 26 has chosen to stay out here. She's gonna try to lead a lap. So I'll be interested to see who among these lap cars chooses to stay out, because that would get you the, that would get you the top 10. That would get you the wave around for being a lap car in between the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that 32 is the next one in line to get a wave around to get back on the lead lap.
Oh, okay. The 93's pit stall, I guess, just unbroke. All right.
Legend
Sure,
has
why
it
not?
that that crew has hired a wizard to fix their pit box.
Sure, why not? Let's just go with it. So it'll be Chantose, Cole, Wandayo, Vebelst, Alicantes, Tosima. Still in the lead lap right now. There are now 2 cars scored, 1 down, so... Well, actually, it'll be 3, once the 55 decides they want to pass the pace car. Here we go. Green flag. Back out. And we are racing once again in Bristol.
I really wonder how fast that 52 is going to be on the short runs, on the long runs, because we've had so many short runs recently and they've gotten so many positions on these restarts, but I'm wondering if that speed can translate to those long runs later in the race.
18 to the inside on the 99. One car came down the pit road. Here comes the 21 for a second once more. Here comes Wandayo. Here comes Alicantes now to the inside on the 52. I'm not sure why, but this specific camera angle, when we come back around, this camera angle right here always makes it look like one of those caution lights is flickering, and it trips me up every time.
It is a little bit trippy, I can agree with you on that one.
Chantose out front, as we have taken the halfway marker in this one. We're taking it right now, halfway for Sophie Chantose.
Here's the cross flags, we're halfway home.
250 laps completed in this race, 250 left.
Can we get a race duration check?
Yeah, there we go.
I think that's about normal for Bristol.
Hour 23 so far. Yeah, now we're kind of starting to see it, single file back out again. These cars are just, I think, going to try and just run some laps at this point. I think this is what you want to do at this stage of the race. You just want to run just a few laps, just keep this race under control and don't let it get out of hand. If you're one of these cars that's looking to, if you're one of these cars back here, one of these cars that's a lap down right now, looking to get back on looking to get that free pass. You're trying to do all you can really to hope that there's a caution soon, so you can get back on the lead lap and have a shot at maybe running up front again. Wandayo second, Alicantes, Cole, Tosima, Vebelst, the 6 cars 4 of the 6 cars on the lead lap. Behind Sophie Chantase and Amani Wandayo. I didn't even know, I couldn't remember if I read the first 2 off, so I just said it again. Tosima closing in on Cole here. For the 4th position.
I feel like any of these cars can still at least get up to win this race. At least in terms of speed. It's on these restarts, if we get more cautions, they'll be shuffled around again on these pit stops and they'll have a chance to get back up there. But I feel like they're all equally fast, I suppose. Although I feel like not a one of these cars is coming home clean without any damage, except maybe that 52, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's Bristol.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of scared to put it to this, but we're going to have to take, you're going to have to dial into the mid-race report to the FanDuel Fan Studio. We're going to dial you in. You and Rasha will split the duties. I'm kind of scared to send it to the mid-race studio because, it seems like we've been destined to have a caution every time during the mid-race report, but,
surely it won't happen this time.
yeah, hopefully it won't. All right, we'll take you there. Rasha,
Hello.
what's up?
Hello and welcome to the mid-race, hopefully not a caution report here in the FanDuel Fan Studio. I've been kind of here in the studio all day, that's why you haven't really seen me that much. I've been talking here and there about some of the comers and goers and some of the cautions, but yeah, as a whole, I think this race so far has acted quite a lot like the Continental race so far, just with fewer cars. I think that's been on the lead lap right now. We're struggling to get more than 5 or 6 cars at any time, basically, and most cars are about sitting 1 or 2 laps down. I'm joined here with Geff and who's dialing in from the booth right now on track. Hi, hello there, Geff. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Yeah. Well, what have your what have your takeaways been so far from the running of this race? You've been closely watching the proceedings so far, so I think we have quite a few insights on the state of the Cup race right now.
I feel like I've been pretty on point, at least at the start of the race, with how the race has progressed so far. We've had some pretty long green flag runs, like this run right here is starting to seem a little bit lengthy, and we've had some quick successions of cautions. And I feel like now, like I mentioned at the start of the race, the field is now spread out. There's less cars on track. There's less competitive cars on track, I must add. And I feel like there's going to be less incidents overall. Like, one way to say is that the weak have been thinned out, and now the strong prevail, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the cars that are running up front right now are some of the best cars we've seen over the course of the race so far. So I wouldn't be surprised to see these cars continuously delivering and running at the front. That is assuming we don't get assuming none of these cars are involved in an incident, I would say, because that's been another theme of this race that we've been touching on. Just incidents can happen basically anywhere on track, and there's really nowhere where you're safe once the lap cars become a factor. There really is nowhere to hide on track. If you're first, second, or if you're 5 laps down, it really doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, as we see these cars navigating the lap traffic, you gotta wonder how they can easily get around this lap traffic without causing any more cars. They gotta be careful about what these lap cars do. Will they go down with them in the same lane? Will they go up? Will they lose control in one of the corners, especially turns 4 and turns 2, which have seemed to be the calamity corners so far in this race?
Yeah, cars tend to be pretty aggressive on the exit of these corners. Cars seem to be pushing the boundaries a little bit on those exits, and that's what we've been seeing cause some of these incidents. Cars are just sending a little bit too hard on the exit of the turns, and so you got cars spinning out, down the straightaways, and that's what we've been concerned with. That's what we're concerned with in the Continental race, and that's what we've been looking at as a point of concern in the Cup race so far as well. We'll see now that we've gotten a couple of 100 laps of this race down under our belts. We'll see if some drivers are going to be taking away a couple of lessons here, just kind of calming things down a bit, Because right now, it really doesn't seem like there's much to race for unless you're in that top 6, basically. And even then, we see just, and this is something I'll segue to in another segment, but the 99 lost quite a bit of ground early on, and it's kind of been left digging herself out of a hole as she sits 7.5 seconds back on the leaders.
And that could definitely be attributed to some of the damage they perceive in these crashes. But then again, anything can happen in a track like this. Who knows? We could see the top 5 all wreck out in the 99 win this race. That could happen. Who knows?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, with this many laps left to go, I think, if you're one of the leading cars right now, the main objective is obviously just to keep running good laps and make sure you stay up front. It doesn't matter nothing else matters if you're not able to run laps and challenge this 26 car right now. And this is a point I want to come on to right now. It's that track position definitely matters, and timing your pit stops around whatever cautions just happen to occur over the next half of the race is going to be important, because as we're seeing here with the 26 of Shantose, who stayed out under that last caution to gain that track position, she's been able to effectively pull away from the rest of the field. Tire wear doesn't really seem to matter as long as the car is set up right and you're able to have a good long run car. It doesn't really seem to matter that much.
Yeah, they seem to retain their inside lane dominance throughout this entire race. You really don't see them slipping up that much unless they're, at least either if the air gets disrupted by another car or they get some contact or whatever. They really seem to have a lot of control on these bottom lanes, which is what's causing them either get these big leads or to stay behind these other cars, but they can't just get up there and pass or get below them and pass as well as they want to.
Yeah, and this isn't something you usually see on short tracks, especially one-lane ones, but I think Bristol is just kind of unique in that way where even on older tires, at least with these cars, you can defend pretty effectively with old tires still. It's as long as you can time your caution, as you can time your restarts right, and make sure you're not shoved out of the way. It really doesn't seem to be too much of a problem starting out on older tires. As we're seeing here, the 21 is starting to catch a little bit. The gap is now down to 1 second, which might just be those slightly newer tires coming into a form. But yeah, I do think it's going to take a really long run, a long green flag run for these cars to put tire wear as a factor, because it really does seem like within that range it doesn't seem to matter too much.
Well, that pretty much will conclude the mid-race report. You want to mention anything else before we head back to the booth?
Yeah, before we go on to our picks, I mean the final thing I want to mention is just the obviously with the number of pit stops we're having, that also puts a lot of emphasis on the importance of pit crew performance. You want your pit crews to do well here. We've seen cars move up and down positions in pit road with among the lead lap cars, so that's another thing that's gonna be that these teams are gonna have to pay attention to, especially if we do get late race restarts. There's not gonna be many opportunities to gain positions on track, as if we're having that many right now anyways, but on a late race restart you're going to have very few opportunities to do so, and pit road might be the best place to gain positions up on the ground. And with that, well, we'll go on to our FanDuel fan pick segment now. I'll start with myself for once. I think, I'd be remiss not to pick anyone that's running in the top on the lead lap right now, and I want to take a look at that 4 car of Rachel Cole, the NTT Data Honda. That's a car that's been running decently so far this season, but hasn't really had the best of runs. I don't think she's had many outright spectacular results, I don't think. I'll have to double check on that actually though. Give me a quick second. But yeah, Rachel Cole is a driver that's had a few good runs here and there. I do remember her running well at Willow Springs, I want to say. That was a good, solid top 5 run out of her. But she has good runs, but she hasn't been the fastest car, I think, on any given race weekend. But at this track, I'm not sure how much that'll matter too much. I feel like this is going to be a game of almost a bit of psychological warfare. You want to be... It's a team-wide effort just to make sure you gain as much of an advantage as possible. And I don't know if raw speed really matters that much. And so far, I've been impressed by the way the 52 has been handling this race. And I think they'll be a factor to deal with as the race goes on. If there's a if there's a flurry of late cautions, we get a bunch of late race restarts. Watch out for this 52 team. If they're still up there, I think they'll be a factor to play, a factor in play for the race to win. Over to you, Geff.
I think, honestly, the 21 has a pretty good shot of winning this race. They have shown some speed in these longer runs, and they are just now catching up to our leader than 26. I think they have a pretty good shot of winning here tonight.
I'm going to take the 26 of Shantose. She won at the Clash earlier in the season at the Daytona backstretch, a pretty similar short track, and she's looked very good at all of these kind of flat tracks. I think that Sophie Shantose is the one to watch as, you know, our designated short track ringer here. She's just been that good on these short tracks. That's your FanDuel fan picks. And, yeah, I mean, we're seeing the 21's kind of reeling in the 26, but then the 26 gets away a little bit again. Here we go. There's a battle for fourth. There's the 93 trying to get by the 52. Tosima trying to get by Cole, and looks like she'll take that spot.
Yeah, these two up front all by themselves, not having to deal with that lap traffic. Meanwhile, in the back, there's a whole lot of cars trying to navigate around the cars with no hood. Just running modifieds right now, and a splitter, I guess. A semblance of a splitter.
Yeah. I gotta keep the car down on the ground for something, I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know, since that last restart, pretty long green run so far. Shantase's really looked strong. '93. Starting to close in, though. I think this 93 is really fast, too. Tosima finally got by Cole, and she's already reeled the 18. She's already gotten pretty close to the 18. I think if there's anybody worth watching, or else worth watching on the lead lap, watch out for this 93 car of Tosima, because she seems pretty fast right now.
I agree.
19 cars are running on the track right now. You know, a green flag cycle would be interesting to see. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but it would be interesting as, yeah, the 99's starting to get really shuffled. She might actually fall a lap down here. '26 is caught up to the 99 of Vebels, and I mean Vebels is trying for all she can, but she is not. She just doesn't look that fast. Whoa, the 26 really goes up the track though.
Yeah, that's a lot of momentum lost from our leader right there. That's going to probably move that margin between under a second for that 21.
Yeah, 21's going to gain a lot there.
Ooh, almost half a second now.
Yeah, down to 0.6. We could see a battle here pretty soon. The 99 continues to hold up to 26. We could see them start fighting.
Won't
Yeah,
be
right.
long, I don't think, until the 99 gets a lap down.
Yeah, probably won't be very long. She's just clearly not that fast right now. Whoa, there goes a car around in
Oh,
front.
whoa.
That's Evergreen in the 17.
And somehow nobody hit them.
Nobody hit her. Caution is out. That should put the 32 back on the lead lap of Cynthia Rairston, so that should give us 7 cars on the lead lap. I don't know what the 17 is doing. She just spun the 52 coming into the pits. Alright, I guess.
One thing I've learned about running better cautions at Bristol is to never ever have the modern double file restarts on. They will never go back green.
All
That
right,
race
21.
will not resume. We have a new leader off pit road.
21 wins the race out. I think the 32 is going to get lapped during her stop, so I'm going to give her a lap back once we go back to the green. Whoa, okay.
A little bit closer right there.
Alrighty, pace car is about to go off. We're gonna go back green here with about 180 laps to go. Should be one more stop left on fuel. Here we go, back to the green, back to green. Wandayo leading. Alicantes, Chantose, Tosima, Cole, Vebos, and all the way back here is Cynthia Rairston. We just got the free pass to get back on the lead lap. Tosima slips up. Here comes Cole for the 5th position.
Yeah, now after that restart, the 93 hasn't fallen off as much yet, or at least the 99 has not fallen off as much as I anticipated, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in these next coming laps, but they're definitely going to slowly fall off the pace.
Yeah,
But now the 32 is back on the lead lap. I wonder how fast they're going to be compared to the rest of the field.
I think you know, if you're that 99, I think the 99 they must have made some adjustments, some major adjustments under that pit stop.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The 32 is already up here, so she's already caught back up to the position she was in beforehand. Wandayo, Alicantes, Chantose, Cole and Vebels the top 5, then Tosima and Rairston are the next 2 cars that are even on the lead lap. Delod 8th, 1 down. Then it's Jetta and Parking's 2 down. In 9th and 10th. A lot of cars got shuffled out of the lead lap because of that, the big incident that happened on the back straightaway when the 15 blew a tire. The 26 slips up the track. Here comes Cole. Oh, I thought she had that spot, but 26 managed to cut it off. Now the 52 slips up the track. Doubles doesn't take it though. Now Vebels gets pushed up the track by a lap car. That's the 62 of Halis Jukovic. See Dio in the lead. Got Alicante's trailing. The 18 is right there on the 21.
I feel like they're going to try and get a great run here, but they really need... They seem to be a lot faster in the corners than the 21 is, and looks like the 26 is also getting a bit of some catch-up as well. Look at the 52 with a big run there on the inside.
Here comes Cole on Chantose. And that 52 is going to take third. We might see Vebels take fourth from Chantose. The 99 getting down. There's the 32. 32's caught up here. Remember, this car was stuck off the lead lap for a while, but she's gotten back on. It's just really impressive what that 32's been able to do. She was 2 laps down for a good while. From just a poorly timed stop, but now she's back up there. And I think we're also seeing the 52. That car's really kicked in here. I think at this point, the next pit stop you see may be the last one. If it's not in the next, if it's after the next 10 laps, I think I think we may be in that one stop to the end territory if we go green for a while here. Back here, there's the 26 slipping, letting a lap car pass. That's a 16 of Jetta. Yeah, the 18 is definitely there. The 18, I think, is definitely faster. You can see this car is just cornering much, much better, but... And yeah, Tosum has slipped back behind the 32 now, so the 32's up to 6th spot. So yeah, Rariston now has actually passed a car that was on the lead lap for this entire last run. So that 32 is not here to mess around. She's clearly very fast. In fact, she's actually driven through almost the whole field because remember, she had to start at the back of the field because of taking the lucky dog. She's managed to move all the way up through here, now battling with some of the leaders.
I feel like we're eventually going to see that 26 slowly make their way up through an under 2 second mark behind our leaders. I think they're going to start coming up behind that 99 relatively soon-ish. I feel like they can hook on the long runs.
I think if we're going to see anybody make that kind of move, it's going to be the 32. This car is
Oh, yeah.
really moving right now.
Even more than the 26.
Yeah. They're catching a lap car. That's the 71 of Little. This is going to be the best spot to make that move.
For a second, I thought they're going to drive it deep into that corner, try and get past the 71. Didn't happen.
Oh, Wandio's going to slip wide a little bit, I think.
Uh-oh, here comes the 18 for the lead.
18's really looking. He's going to let all these cars back here close in, too. Now the 18 slips wide. 52 slipped even further wide. Got a lap car in between her now. And now that's going to let the 99 take third. They're still being held up by the lap car of the 71. Now the 21's finally going to get underneath the 71 here. 70. That 18 is really trying. 16 got under the 99 there. Now here comes the 26 and the 32 trying to take spots away, and they're both going to get those spots from the 99. 52 is going to get a spot away as well. 62 is a lap car going underneath the 18. 62 is 7 laps down, but really has some kind of pace. Here comes Rarison trying to get back around Chantose for third now. Cole around the 26. 93 and 99 have been shuffled straight to the back, and now the 21 has a few lap cars in between herself and second. Here comes Rarison looking underneath the 18. Just
Big
can't
run
make it
at turn
stick.
2.
Yeah, she got a great run there, but just couldn't make it stick.
But like you said, that 32 is really strong right now on this specific run. We're still with over 130 some laps to go in this race.
Yeah. There's going to be more lap cars that are going to hinder these drivers too, so. Here comes the 32 for second. Rariston's going to take it away from Alicantes. Cole's going to get third. Yeah, the 18 now stuck on the outside lane. The 32 clearly very fast. I don't know if she's the fastest right now, but it kind of looks like she is. Whatever adjustments they made to this car, clearly they're kicking in, because she's driven past pretty much the whole field here. More lap cars, the 31 of Happeman. Last week's winner. It's not looking like she's going to continue that. Yeah, I think next stop we see is going to be the last one.
feel like they can go green to the end from here, unless something crazy happens.
They could. I would be surprised if this final... I would be surprised if the final run is under green, though, as the 21 slips high, and now the lap car is getting in the way. That's going to bring the 32 in. Here we go. We got to fight for the lead.
32's
Rarison
on a
underneath
rampage.
Wandayo. And Sinlia Rariston out front. 2 laps down, not even 100 laps ago, and now she's out front. And shout out to 16 of Vengetta as well, who's actually unlapped herself, so she's gotten to 1 lap down. Although, I don't know for how long that will stay the case. '17 is holding up everyone here. '21's still here. '52 trails back, so does the 26. 99 in 5th, 18 and 93 battling for 6th right now. And now the 17 finally getting shuffled through the field here. Interesting note about the 16 is I think the 16 is a little faster than these cars. Just, she's obviously laps down, so she can't really do very much. Rariston kind of slipped high a little bit there. With how few cars are left running right now, I would not be surprised if we got a lot of long runs to the end. But I could also see it ending up with, you know, we get a few cautions at the end of the race as well. This is 3 cars all kind of bunched together right here. Wandayo, Cole, and Chantose. I mean, did anybody have it on their, you know, bucket list that we'd see this car coming from, what, 2 laps down at halfway to the lead by about 1.5 seconds before we even reached 100 to go? Like, this has just been a great drive for Rariston. There's no 2 ways about it for her. Marisha Vevel still in 5th back here. I'm gonna try and get around this lap car. It looks like she'll be able to do it. I mean, what are you thinking in your head now about strategy here?
In terms of strategy, I mean, like, the way they're racing right now, in terms of, like, I feel like they can go to the end, as 32 almost makes contact with 71. I just about jinxed it there, but I feel like they can make it to the end on this green flag run. But with only 7 cars on the lead lap, it really depends on when they pit, because I feel like they're all on the same strategy right now in terms of tires and fuel. So it really depends on when they pit, and if they have issues coming out of the pit, considering other cars are going to be coming in. It was not a huge issue because there's not that many cars on the track right now, but still.
Chantose has made a move for 3rd. 26 is around the 52. It's very strategic. If we go green all the way, you know, I'd be very curious as to when we see them come in for that stop. We know they will have to pit at least once more. What's up, Russia on strategy?
Yeah, Echo. I think, you know, when we're looking at strategy here, teams are probably now looking at least as a contingency, the possibility of the race going green all the way to the end here. And I do wonder, and I think, you know, if you're one of these teams that are on the lead lap right now, I do think, and maybe, given the way these tires have worn over the last run, can we actually get some of the current lap times here? Yeah, I don't think tires wear all that much, as we're seeing cars running around the low to mid 15s right now. I think lower 15s in cleaner air and then mid 15s in traffic. The lap times are starting to tumble a little bit, and I think we're starting to hit the point in time now where tires are going to start to matter. And I do wonder if maybe the undercut is going to be the way to go. It's going to go against I'd say general conventional logic in a track with relatively low tire wear, but at the same time, I think we're getting a run this long, and really the only concern is going to be making it on fuel. We'll see if cars here are going to be trying to pit earlier on once the fuel window opens. But at the same time, you know, a caution will be, if a caution does happen, that'll absolutely wreck anybody's strategy. So that's something. So teams might also be looking at the possibility of the overcut, just hedging your bets and staying out, and making sure that you end up catching that caution, because it really does seem like a caution feels inevitable at this track, no matter what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the big thing as well is when you stay out long, you know, when you overcut, keep in mind that new tires are worth about half a second. But the key thing to remember about that is if you pit a little early, then it's you know, you're basically risking the fact that, you know, there could be a caution that comes out during the cycle and you could get trapped 2, 3, 4 laps down. And that's just going to be something that's tough. We're at 100 laps to go in this one. This has not been that long. We've just kind of barely cracked the 2-hour mark. So, you know, despite everything, this hasn't been a terribly long race. Ariston's still out front. They're gonna get by a few more lap cars here. That's the 92 of AWSCO. The 32 is very clearly the fastest car right now. I think that's a given. But so if you're one of these other cars, you know, kind of trailing, are you hoping for a caution to get back to, or are you trying to out-strategize that car?
I feel like if you're trying to get back up out front, obviously you're going to try and want a caution to get back out front, because obviously with this 3-second lead now down to a 2-second lead, as you can see, the 21 might be gaining a little bit now, but that 32 already has a massive lead, is really good on these long runs. So I'm looking to think they're really going to need more than just good runs themselves to try and get back up to this leader. Even though we're under 100 laps to go now, it's still, I think we're going to need another caution to get it a little bit more competitive.
Well, Rariston out front. We've had a very long green run. We've been green since about What time was the last caution out? Was it at lap 300? Was it a little before? Was it a little later? I can't remember.
Around that. Around
Yeah,
that.
so we've been green for about 100 or so laps. And I do want to point out next week we got another short track race. We're going to South Boston, Virginia for another short track slam bang show. 400 laps there, and we'll see 250 laps for the Continental cars as well in that one. It'll be we got 2 consecutive weeks of short track racing, and that's something that a lot of people love to watch is short tracks.
True.
Camping World 400 next week, alongside the Ally 250 at the South Boston Speedway. Bit shorter races at that 0.4 mile track, 2/5 of a mile. Officially measured at, and yeah, it'll be fun. And Jetta's doing all she can to stay just one down, because if she can get lucky with some timing, there's like, you know, if there's a yellow, and you know, say something happens to the 55, that would put the 16 right back on the lead lap, but with the lucky dog. She's done a good job kind of hanging out in front of the 32. But I'm not really sure how long she can hold that. Yeah, I mean, with how long this run is going, I think maybe you gotta start thinking about expecting green flag stops. What are all these teams going to do when they come in?
I think they're gonna get 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, probably.
That's just a hunch, though.
Probably 4 tires is gonna be key, because even two tires, I feel like is a little bit of a speed drop. I don't know though. I feel like you could go 2 tires. I don't think you can go no tires.
Yeah, I feel like 2 might work, and 4 no tires definitely is not gonna work.
Yeah, 2 might work. Just because you're leaning on the right sides pretty much the whole time. Like, this track is very small, so you're basically constantly turning. So you're leaning on the right sides quite a bit. So I could see just changing the right sides working out. '26 got by the 21. 21's really slow. 52 up to 3rd now. So the 26 and 52 have taken spots away from Amani Wandayo. That's 2 cars that have gotten by Wandayo, who looked really fast in the short run, but that 21 seems to really struggle in the long run. Rarison 3 seconds out in front of Shantose. She's just kind of trails behind in Jeddah here. Letting the 16 kind of dictate the pace. I think the 16 is still pretty fast. 16 is definitely... 16 and 32 are around the same pace, I think. I think that's why the 32 is not really going for it on the 16 quite yet.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they were on the same pace despite the 16 missing a whole bumper.
Hey, you don't really need that short track like this. you know, 5th, 6th, 7th kind of trailing back on their own as well. That being Vebelst, Alicantes, and Tosima. Kind of just in their own zone right now. I guess the question really just becomes, how long do you stretch it here to the end? Do you cut your losses and come to pit road, or you just try to run it as long as you can and maybe hope for the advantage that fresher tires might have later on? The lead is now up to 4.5 seconds for Rariston. Trying to say ate into it a little bit there, but not very much. There's the one car. She's on fresh tires. Yeah, they're starting to run about a second off their fast laps now. Watch the one here. She's on fresh tires, and yeah, look at this. Look at how fast this car is. As this long run goes on, I mean, I think really late in the run, this is where the big tire fall off is now. And we're so late in the run that there's just so much fall off, and you're actually kind of seeing it right here with the one car of Felicia Vancy. She came in a little early for tires. And she is blowing by everybody right now.
She is what?
Lap car's fighting in front here. One car is going to move the 26 out of the way. 92's in. That's Michele Yatica. 32 finally got by the 16. Well, now we're starting to see some of the lappers come to pit road. So at this point now, what do you do? When do you come in? Would you want to come in now, get the advantage of those fresh tires? Or do you want to try and stretch this as long as you can and hope there's no caution?
Well, in my honest, humble opinion, as someone who has raced Bristol exactly one time in my life, I would say I would just ride it out. Maybe hope for a caution, considering they're about 6 seconds back right now. That 32 has really, really good speed, and they really gotta hope. The only one not hoping for a caution right now is that 32 car, and they really need to hope that something bad doesn't happen right here. Something bad almost happened right there with that 92. But yeah, that 32 is just on an absolute tear right now, getting past all these lap cars without many issues whatsoever. That Honda power really going into the engine for this one, and I think it's going to be an interesting. It'll be interesting if a caution does come out.
Here she goes. On pit road, the 32 is.
This might decide the winner of this race. If they have a bad pit stop, that could really close the gap between these cars.
99 is also in. 26, 21, 18, 93 have followed their way through. And remember, you have to go through both pit roads under green. Watching this stop for the 32, it looks like she'll be getting out. Yep, she'll get out ahead. 26 second. 18. .52 of Cole is still out on the track, I believe. Now she's come to pit road. She stayed out to lead a couple laps. 32 now back out on track. Back to the race lead. Yeah, I think at this point now, this is the final run, so...
Yeah, I feel like not too much has changed yet so far after these pit stops. We gotta wait until everyone comes out on the track.
Oh, the 52! That car is slow.
With an issue. Uh-oh. Oh, no, if they stop on the apron, that might be a yellow, but I think they're gonna make it back to pit road. Unless they're pit looping?
No, she's coming down.
That's a real shame for that 52 team. They've been fast all night.
Yeah, it really is. .4 the gap between Rarison and Champs-Élysées. It didn't change that much.
A little bit of a gain, but nothing too crazy. Now that everyone's on new tires, or at least all the leaders are on new tires, things are going to be a little bit more interesting, but now the 93 is about to go a lap down.
93,
here.
yeah. She's a car that's on the lead lap. She's going to fight for this one. She's not going to let the 32 by easy. She wants that lead lap finish. And those two former
Basically.
teammates as well.
Yeah, they're both fighting for their lives right now, trying to stay ahead of this leader.
Gonna get by the 31. If you're the 32, I'm not pushing it here. You got a 4-second lead.
Surely nothing bad will happen in these last 50 laps for the 32 car.
Surely. 21 jumped to 3rd off the pit road, off the pit stop. 52's dropped back to 11th. We'll see if we can get an update on what's happened to the 52 car, but unfortunately for her, that day has gone sour. Champs-Élysées continues to reel in Rarison for the lead. There's been a lot of races lately where, we've had gaps of multiple seconds at the end, and, some fans may call that boring, some fans may not enjoy that, but that's just how racing goes sometimes. Sometimes you just get really long runs where you got really long gaps between the cars for the race win.
I believe that gap is closing for the lead just by a little bit. They've got under 50 to go now, but that 26 is gaining by a little bit. Let's see if they gain again, and they do.
Just a bit, but she did gain. Lost that time. This is going to be a pretty short run to the finish here, so I think you'll want that short run speed. I'm not sure how much short run speed the 32 has. I mean, the 26 has been very good on short run speed, but I'm not sure if we've really had a good look at the 32's short run speed, but she's got such a big lead, I'm not even really sure it will matter. But, I mean, you need to use the low line. The outside is just not there, and yeah, the 26 is starting to lose time again. Yeah, I think the 32 and 26 are about equal in terms of pace right now. Battle for third still kind of raging on. The 21 and the 18 back here.
What do you mean the Jets are in double overtime?
Yeah. In game 7 too. I
Oh
have it on my
God.
other screen. 93 finally put a lap down. Rachi,
Yeah, now down to just the top 5.
Rachi, you know what happened to the 52 of Rachel Cole?
Yeah, I was just listening into the radio communications on that 52 team, and I think they had let the 52, and I think they had let the 52 car go without securing all of the tires. That's why they were slow on the apron there. So Cole just had to nurse that car back in, and they had to get he had to double check all the tires and get it all tightened up there. But that was a pretty sloppy pit stop at the 52, all things considered.
Well, unfortunate. That's a unforced error, and that's gonna ruin their day. Vettel's last car in the lead lap in the 99 car, running in 5th. I kind of figured we'd get more cautions, but this last run has proceeded very smoothly. She'll get by the 17 here.
It's only the top 5 in the lead lap now. It really drastically changes. Not really drastically, but it does decrease the amount of possible winners of this race. Even though 32 is looking very likely to win this race still with less than 30 to go. Anything can happen.
Yeah, if a caution comes out, that could really mess up everything, really.
Yeah, with those lap cars still running a lot slower than the rest of the field, things can still get kind of crazy. As you can see right there, the 18 almost got turned by the lap car behind them coming out of turn number 2.
Harrison with a 5-second lead now. And I mean, regardless of anything else, you just have to appreciate the fact that she was able to get out front, you know, after being laps down, get to the front, take advantage, and now she's up here looking at a potentially very strong win and what would be the second of the season for Atlantic Racing.
Yeah, I really don't think we're gonna get another caution unless like someone. Oh,
Well, we just got another caution. The 92 has stopped on the apron. That car
That
appears
is
to have blown up.
hilarious.
That may have been the greatest timing.
I saw the pace car lights flashing and I was like, oh god. This is like some modern next gen race bull. Like this is something this is like a Xfinity race moment right here.
93 will get back on the lead lap. We'll hit the free pass. A fair few of these cars will also be able to take the wave around. Well, for Rariston, there goes the 5-second lead. See if any of the lap cars come in this time, but if none of the lap cars come in, then we'll start waving them around right here.
Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it. Yeah. As I expected. I'm not sure what the 1 is doing, but... So the 55 currently scored as the first car off the lead lap now. And with the 93 getting the free pass that time, you know, all these cars back here.
I really feel like the 26 and the 21 might have a really good chance to win this race. They've been good on the short runs, but that 32 is pretty much out of long run power because there's not much long run left in this race. So, like, I feel like both of those two have a pretty good shot to win this if they can get a good restart.
We're gonna have 17 to go when we go back green. Top 5 for the lead lap cars before this caution. Here we go. To Chantose, Wandayo, Alicantes, or Vebels. Have anything for Cynthia Raristoun at the end of this one? "26 slides. 21's gonna take second. The 3
Not with
wide
a
back
50
here.
+3.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Almost disaster right there for the 52, who had been pretty much clean all day.
Wandayo into second. That was really tight back there with the 52. If we get a quick yellow and some of these cars get waved around, they may have a shot at, you know, battling up here for a decent finish. But I mean, Raristoun looks pretty strong still. But how strong is she going to be? Still pretty close right now. Russia, what happened to the 92 of Yatsika?
Hi Echo, apologies for the delay here. I'm just making my way up to the studio again for the post-race show. But yeah, we were able to confirm with the crew that's still down on pit road there that for one I saw the 92 blowing up in the middle of the racetrack there, and thankfully she was able to pull down to the apron. But we can confirm that I think the 92 team were dropping cylinders there, and the way that it panned out, the engine just catastrophically blew, and I think she wasn't able to take that car off to the pit lane where they were able to where they'd be able to work on it. So yeah, just unfortunately a late catastrophic engine failure like that, she had to park it on the apron, and that's caused the most recent caution that set us up for this late restart and the final one at the flag. Back to you.
We just had our AWSCO Windows 11 to go, with Cynthia Raristoun out in front. Wandayo, Alicantes, Vebels, Chantose, and Tosima, their top 6. Delad and Jetta 1 lap down, 7th and 8th. Garnston 2 laps down in 9th. Rachel Cole 3 laps down in 10th. And I mean, yeah, the 32's starting to pull a little bit now. We're kind of getting to that point of the race where I think we're in that point of the race where a caution will end it. So we come to 3 to go for Raristoun. Wandayo's trying to hold off Alicantes behind, but still for Wandayo, this would be a great finish. She has not had a particularly great run of things to start this season.
The 18 fell off quite a bit after turn number 1. Now the 21 trying to get something, but I don't think they're going to have enough time.
She picked up a little bit, but I don't think she's picking enough up. White flag. 1 lap to go for Cynthia Raristow, trying to hold off Amani Wandayo. Raristow's dominated this last portion of the race, and she's going to take it all the way home. Recovering from 2 laps down to win at Bristol, it's Cynthia Raristow. She gets it done in the Lenovo AI 500.
Wow.
Pretty solid race, I would say. I thought that was quite fun. A little bit stagnant towards the end, but that late restart really mixed things up. And a great day for Raristow. A great day for a lot of these drivers. Only 6 cars finishing on the lead lap. I guess that's just what happens though when you run that long. I mean, heck, we had a green flag pit cycle. That wasn't something I expected.
I agree.
I mean, overall, what are your thoughts? How do you feel? How did you feel about this one?
It was definitely a race that was held at Bristol Motor Speedway. I will say the lack of passing on the inside lane definitely made it a little bit stagnant, like you said. But the pit strategy was pretty fun. The wrecks were interesting, and overall, it was a race.
Raristow will get credit for most laps led at 128 laps led. We're gonna dial you in back to the studio with Rasha again, and Rasha, what do you have down there from the FanDuel Fan Studio as we conclude our coverage here tonight from Bristol?
Yeah, Echo. Well, it's been 500 laps around one of the most chaotic racetracks on the AWSCO series schedule, as we say, and well, if you think this race was a short track, was a chaotic short track smash and grab fest, you'll love the next race on our schedule. That one is gonna be South Boston, and it's going to be just as chaotic as this one, if not more. I think an even shorter track with even less room to move around, and that kind of racing is gonna be. That kind of racing is going to be a spectacle for everyone to see. I don't think we're gonna have as long of a race in terms of length there, but I wouldn't be surprised if the race itself lasts about as long. But yeah, circling back to this race, it was definitely a short track race that went 500 laps. All right, I think we had the incidents, we had the traffic management, we even had the strategy at the end of the race. We had that long green flag run. We only had about 20 or so cars left at the field, but at the same time, we kept it clean and kept it relatively clean. And the only caution in the middle of that was one for a mechanical problem. So, yeah, that's about as clean as you could possibly hope for at a track like this, I think. TBC, Geff, you there?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was watching Cocomelon on my other monitor.
Why?
Le board.
But
I would say I think in terms of like short. What'd you say?
You might have to check you into a mental facility for willingly watching Cocomelon.
That's true. I feel like short tracks like these inherently, like, when you have that bottom lane, you're really all to yourself without any types of, like, passing on the top lane. And I feel like most of the racing here was definitely affected by that. But, like, when like, one car got sent up to the outside lane, they were, like, especially at the start of the race when there were a lot more cars in play and on the lead lap, they got sent back so far and they had to recover quite a bit. Or at least put in a lot of effort to try and at least recover to get back up there and try and get back out front, which was definitely like a hindrance to what was really going on on terms of their speed.
Yeah, I think it kind of this kind of racetrack lends itself to this kind of racing, because there really isn't that many places where you can pass. And we saw how much track position mattered over the course of this race. We saw that you'd have cars on kind of the tail end of the lead lap take a position and just stay out on a caution, and they'd be able to hold position for at least 50 laps or so. I don't think tires were really a factor until you start hitting the 100 lap barrier. I think that's really when tire wear becomes a big enough issue to where having new tires is is an actual advantage, I think. And we saw with the run, you start losing about a second a lap heading into that point, which definitely made things interesting in the green flag cycle that we had. But at the same time, yeah, for most of this race, I don't think tire wear was a factor, which is definitely interesting to see in a short track.
I agree. And on that note, that was a race.
Yeah, no, that was definitely an interesting race. What do you think about the some of the incidents that we had in this race?
I'm surprised that 82 did not flip over during that one wreck that we had. They got pretty awfully close to
Yeah, I
flipping over
saw
during
that
that
one.
one wreck.
Yeah, I saw that one. The 82 was on her side for about 100 feet or so. That for about a quarter of the straightaway. That was I was frankly impressed she didn't have a slow rollover there. But yeah, I will say I was also pretty surprised by the big incident we saw there. Although,
Mhm.
yeah, given the way that it panned out, I wasn't entirely surprised to see it occur. Just that just seems like a circumstance of the situation. So you just get incidents like that at this track. There really isn't much room to move around, and you get an incident that happens on the inside and the outside of a track close to each other. That it really does make for an obstacle course for most of these drivers to go around. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel like there are a
Bristol.
lot of wrecks that also involved the leaders, or at least the lead cars, especially when there were less cars on the lead lap.
Yeah,
Those wrecks that involved the leaders were definitely some of the more, at least race-changing ones for sure.
yeah, we had plenty of race altering incidents. That big one definitely played a role as well because that took out quite a few cars that were running either on or close to the lead lap. We also had that incident that took out Carly Byrne in the 9, which was just kind of bad timing. I'm not sure what Byrne could have done there, other than maybe anticipate. She may have been able to anticipate it a little bit better, but at the same time, I think the cars, washing up to the outside like that. That's not something that's easy to avoid at this track, really. Just kind of again, nature of the game sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think with that, if we'll take you back to the booth now, and Echo will give our closing statements from the race here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it was a very interesting race. I think it was a lot of fun. We had 17 lead changes in this one. It was a lot more. I would say we had a lot more lead changes on track than we did in the pits than we saw in the Continental race. Overall, pretty fun race to watch. A lot of different things happened in this one, and big congrats to Cynthia Raristoun for pulling this one off. Came back from multiple laps down in this one to get to the front. So she did it. She did a great job in this one. We'll be at South Boston next week. That's going to be a fun race as well. And we'll see.
I agree.
We'll see you next time for South Boston. Have a good night, everyone.